Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Welcome, Bruce.
Hey, David.
How are you tonight, Bruce?
Hey, back-to-back wins against the Flames and Canucks. What's not to like? Well, other than the absence of 4 points, what's not to like?
So, Bruce, the Cult of Hockey podcast, people can watch it here on YouTube. I guess that's a broadcast. They can also listen on iTunes to the podcast. So if you haven't subscribed on iTunes, go for it. We've been on this now for 2 years running, Bruce, and this is done more than 200 podcasts. And so today, the Oilers beat the Canucks 4-2 in Vancouver, and today we're going to break down the game in terms of 2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 stats. Bruce, why don't you start with your good thing?
Okay, I'm going to go with the play of Cam Talbot, and he was outstanding. I thought he was the first star of this game, to be frank. He was just right on point, right from the very beginning of the first period. He only played 2 periods. But the fact the score was 2-1 Edmonton after when he left the game, as opposed to say 5-2 Vancouver, was largely due to good play by the netminder, and great to see him back on form.
The save he made on that one miracle save. I mean, this is going to get to my bad thing, some of the defensive play out there. But that save that he made, well, it was just like, you have to get lucky to make that save on a certain level. You got to be good to be lucky, though, because he's got the whole net to shoot at, and he raises the puck. I mean, he had to get it off quick, but he raised it right into Talbot's sprawling glove hand. I mean, that was a backdoor pass by that Peterson.
He looked pretty good, pretty talented guy.
Yeah, that could easily be a bad thing, because he could be bad news for the Oilers for years to come. That guy, he was pretty. He looked really dangerous on the power play for Vancouver. But yeah, Talbot he looked like the Cam Talbot of old.
Yeah, that's what I'm encouraged. That's what I'm encouraged by. Like, I've been talking about how I want to see the Oilers having a more even split of goalie starts this year, or say 50-30 for Talbot versus Koskinen. But after watching these last 2 nights, I'm more in favor of an 82-0 split. I'm kidding, of course, but I mean, you should talk about coming away with 2 very different impressions of the starting goalies from those 2 games. And Talbot largely, I think, stole the game tonight. Montoya did his part as well with a pretty decent 3rd period. But man, goaltending, you got to have it, and when you do have it, you can still steal the 0 points. But
this game could, with different goaltending, could have been 5-1 Canucks. You know, on the base, I didn't track the scoring chances. I didn't count them, but Vancouver had way more excellent scoring chances.
Nelson was not very good, and Oilers 2 goalies both outplayed him.
All right, my good thing is the offensive flood, Bruce. So we heard from Jason Strudwick. He had gone to the practice. He had noticed that the Oilers in the offensive zone were much more aggressive on the forecheck. We're getting players in deep, 3 players in fairly deep consistently, and much more compact and ready to pounce. And he said the negative side of that was going to be perhaps some 3-on-2 rushes against the Oilers. But the positive is players playing on their toes, much more aggressive, getting in there. And 2 of the goals, both goals scored by the Puljujarvi. I call it the Puljujarvi line. It's the Strome line, but Puljujarvi was the dominant player. Came when they were flooding in there, getting in there. The first one, the puck is almost out, but Benning's pinching, and Strome and Kyer are there, and they get it, and puck goes to Puljujarvi, makes an incredible little deke there, very nice deke, kind of, I don't know, is it inside outside move, and gets off probably shouldn't have been a goal on that shot, but he fools the goalie. He fools the goalie and scores. No, he's apparently switched sticks, Bruce, and Cult of Curry, who's a big Oilers fan on Twitter at Cult of Curry, says he's using Patrick Lainie's stick model.
Well, maybe that's not such a bad idea.
Maybe it isn't, because Puljujarvi looked as good as he's ever looked in an Oilers sweater. I thought he was the best player on the ice, I thought, moving
Best
around
skater.
confidently,
Best skater.
making good plays with the puck, um, consistently dangerous. That line was the best line. And the second goal, he kicked it off. He got in there fast on a forecheck. Kyra got in there. Strome, the puck squirts to Strome, who set up Caleb Jones in the slot. So twice the offensive flood, getting in there fast and hard and aggressively on the forecheck worked for the Oilers and caught this Canucks team flat-footed. They just couldn't get it out. So that's my good thing for tonight.
And even Roddy's 2 goals, the one came when they flooded the front of the net, and he managed to get a stick on the puck and squib it through and into the net.
Well, that was a power play goal, not?
Yeah, and yes, that's true. And then the other one, he was just on the defenseman on the forecheck, and Buddy made a little mistake, and that was in the net. So it was nice to see Mr. Roddy show some of his skills in tight to the blue paint, which has always been a strong part of his game.
All right, bad thing. Bruce, what was your bad thing in the game?
I got to go first again? Okay, well, penalties, and I'm going to particularly point out a particularly annoying one that Zach Kassian took in the third period. The Oilers scored 5 or 6 minutes into the third period to go ahead by 2 and seemingly take control of the game. And then the very next shift, like 45 seconds later or whatever, Kassian takes an interference penalty by running, obviously, every ref in the league would have called that, running over a guy, hitting him right in the numbers, 10 feet from the puck, and about 40 feet out of position. And for what? What is the point of plays like that? Like, you got to have a little bit of discipline, man. Running around and taking a pound of flesh here and there, that goes with the position. But you got to play it a little bit smart. And I'd like to think that by the time a guy gets to be 27 years old and has got 400 games in the NHL, that he's got a little better idea of what not to do in certain situations. And that kind of stuff just drives me nuts, David. And it was very, like they scored right away in the power play, and right away we're back into a 1-goal game. And granted, it's an exhibition game. But the whole point is the practice game. This is how you manage the game. When you got the lead, you don't do dumb things to give the other teams gifts. You just don't do them, and you can't do them. I bet the coach, I don't know what he says to Kassian, but I bet he's just going crazy, screaming inside, watching that kind of stuff. And he's way behind the goal line, like he's a winger.
Yeah, Kassian didn't have a strong game. He was by far the weakest of the right wings, and he did very little good in the game, and he did that one.
Well, he was okay on the penalty kill, other than that penalty kill, and he wasn't out there, of course, because he was in the box. But he had actually a team high among forwards, 4 minutes and 18 seconds on the penalty kill. That was a part of the problem all night. They beat a steady path to the penalty box, 7 penalties to 3. And I'm not going to whine about the refs because I think most of the penalties were largely deserved.
So, and when the Oilers weren't in the penalty box, man, so my bad thing is the play of some of the defense. And I thought in particular, Jason Garrison, Keegan Lowe, and Caleb Jones all struggled quite a bit defensively. There was I think was it on a power play where who was it? I took a note there. Who came up the middle of the ice on Caleb Jones? Just undressed poor Caleb Jones on that play. Garrison was behind the play, constantly getting beat, and Keegan Lowe also struggled in the same regard. So they are probably all AHL defensemen. Garrison was last year, Keegan Lowe was last year, and Caleb Jones was. And I wouldn't mind seeing actually Caleb Jones in another game. He might have been the jitters, a bit more like let's see what he can do in another game. I would say with Caleb Jones, he's been so strong up until now. I think he might have this was the first real NHL kind of game. There was lots of NHL players for the Canucks in that game. And suddenly some of the AHL players were exposed for their lack of, they're just not fast enough to keep up with the game at that pace. And that was the issue with Garrison, I think, and with Keegan Lowe to some extent. Jones is more perhaps a mental, he's just settling down and figuring it out. I'd like to see him get at least one more game.
Well, one thing he figured out was jumping into the slot to take that pass from Ryan Strome and score what eventually stood up as a game-winning goal. So at least he produced something in the attacking zone. And, if you look at his stat line, he played 20 minutes, just over 20 minutes. He had a goal plus one, 3 shots on net to lead the defensive core. So, statistically a decent game, but I agree there were breakdowns, and there were breakdowns in the middle of the ice, and a lot of odd man rushes, especially in the second period.
Geez, I see Puljujarvi. I'm looking at the time on ice. He only played 14 minutes. That's not my stat. Let's go to the stats. One stat each. I'll go with 3 out of 4. So 3 to the Oilers, 4 goals were scored by right wingers, and the right wingers, all of them, Yamamoto, Ratty, and Puljujarvi, were strong. They put on quite a show. The Strome, Kyra, Puljujarvi line looked like the Oilers' top line tonight. Looked like a hell of a third line by NHL standards. If those guys can get this going and keep that up, that's a third line that might have some legs. I don't know what they're going to do with Yamamoto. He's coming on strong again, just like he did last year. He's a year older. I think Jordan Eberle was at the same age. Was he 20? He was 20, right, when he broke in as a rookie.
Yeah, their ages, they have a whole lot in common, but their age is different. Eberle was almost 8 months older.
Okay.
If I've got it right, than Yamamoto.
Yeah, okay.
No, wait a minute. 4 months older than Yamamoto. 4.5 months older than Yamamoto.
Well, then they're almost. That's nothing when you're 20, Bruce.
So one had 2 years back in junior after his draft, and one had only one. So,
but hasn't Yamamoto played 4 years of junior? Like, don't they have that in common? I think they might have in common that they both had played 4.
Yeah, we're just doing it at a younger age, and he's still doing it at a younger age.
That's right. So they both had in common 4 years of major junior hockey, which I think is the key fact here, like the key point. They're essentially the same age. Eberle came in and he was a decent player as a rookie for the Oilers. He was a very good player. Yamamoto could well be the same, and it's going to be he didn't score. He got an assist when he got tripped into the goalie on Ratty's power play goal. Ty Ratty is again showing the 2 goals were really great. Of course, I thought the best moment almost was right at the end of the game where the Oilers are up by 4-2. There's 30 seconds left. He could get a hat trick. The puck goes into Vancouver's end, and what does he? Instead of scoring, he does the veteran thing. He tries to kill the clock, and he's successful for about 10, 15 seconds killing the clock. That's the kind of thing I think that will really endear Ty Ratty. It's probably the difference between Ty Ratty when he was 20 or 21, Bruce, and Ty Ratty today when he's 25. Is him doing that, and that's the kind of thing that endears you to the coach, and it's the kind of smart play that had him fitting in so well with Nugent Hopkins and Connor McDavid last year. So 3 out of 4 is my stat. Those right wingers all came on strong.
It's a different aspect of what I was mentioning earlier, game management. It's, there's a lot of different ways, little smart things you can do. And to see that kind of play out of Ty Ratty was almost better than seeing the puck bounce to him for an easy hat trick. To see him, especially given the chance that the temptation would be strong to go for the hat trick, hockey being what it is. His whole focus was, let's just keep it down here, take the pounding, and wind the clock down, and that's just smart percentage hockey, and I rate that quite a lot.
Your stat, Bruce.
Oh yeah, I got a simple stat. I haven't looked at any of the fancy stats tonight, but here's a nice simple one. Jesse Puljujarvi, 5 shots on goal. And that's what we want to see. He played 12.5 minutes. He was definitely the shooter on that line. I thought he was the go-getter on that line. He was, the guy who was on the puck and doing a lot of the puck movement through the neutral zone. And quite frankly, I really liked that line. I thought Strome looked pretty strong, and have those 2 big, speedy wingers and Kyra and Puljujarvi on his side, with Strome kind of being the brains of the gang in the middle and distributing the puck. There were mistakes, but there was way more positive things than the negative things out of that line, and they got the 2 goals. They got the 2 goals to prove it. And Puljujarvi was, as we sort of discussed earlier, he appears to be a little leaner and meaner fighting machine, just more involved in the play. Was in the middle of a big scrum there, or the one scrum that really the game had.
Yeah, a lean, mean finish machine.
Yeah. Well, finish. If he can do the finish with one end, we'll be really happy.
Yeah, just imagine being a defenseman having to like two essentially 6'4", 6'5". I don't know how tall Puljujarvi, 6'4", 6'5" guys in Kyra and Puljujarvi coming down on you with their
they're both
coverage on
huge.
their sticks, and both of them being fairly aggressive and fast. And Strome's not tiny either. So this could be a line that could do some damage. And again, this gets back to McClellan's. People are hankering to see Puljujarvi on a top line with McDavid and Draisaitl. And I think he doesn't have to drive a line. He's a combination player. He's a very good one, and he could just fit in very well. But I do like the idea of a player who we have heard from insiders has struggled with his confidence, especially playing with these top guys and knowing what to do and when to do it. Just being told you're the man. You're the first guy on the forecheck every time. You win the puck, you make the play, you take the shot, you carry the puck. I like that. I like that idea, and that's what I saw on the ice tonight was him doing that, him enacting those kinds of instructions. So this could work.
And not deferring to a superior player on his line, because really there isn't one. I mean, he's as good as anybody on that line, and I think he and Strome, they had some chemistry going last year, and there was some chit chat that the top two centers weren't real thrilled to have Jesse on their wing because they weren't necessarily quite sure what he was going to do, I think. But let him learn the game. And if he's playing on the third line and succeeding and you're winning that matchup, that's huge because, if your top, a lot of nights your top two lines saw off and you got to find something in the bottom six. And if you got a strong third line, that can be certainly a difference maker. And he's more than skilled enough to hold his own on a third line because that's of course the line that's going to be playing the third pairing of the other team quite a bit. So it's not just the matchups at forward, but it's the quality of defenseman. If you put him on McDavid's line, well, guess what? He's going to see Marc-Edouard Vlasic all year. Just goes with the territory.
Alrighty, Bruce. Well, let's leave it there. Thanks for talking tonight.
All right, a quick post game, but let's do this, and we'll have one after every game as before, and we'll have this as our video feature now, I guess, with instead of the 3 stars, and just focus it on that game's action.
Thanks everyone for listening, and in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.